Welcome back. Now we'll take your questions. If you have a question yourself, send it to us at QuranSpeaks.com. So Dr. Shabir, the question that we have today is, what does Islam say about testing drugs on animals?
It is a new question in that, in ancient societies, people would not have had any facilities for this testing. They may have done some rudimentary ways of testing. An interesting book on the subject is this one, entitled Organ Transplantation, Euthanasia, Cloning, and Animal Experimentation.
Wow, it's got the full
That's right.
Everything.
And then the subtitle reads An Islamic View by Abul Fadl Mohsin Ibrahim. It's published by the Islamic Foundation in Markfield in Leicester. It's a short book and with very important points. As for this topic on animal experimentation, he traces the history and shows that even Muslim scholars would have one time, meaning scientists like Al-Khwarizmi, may have done some animal experimentation at one time. But obviously with most things there is a development. Our awareness of issues become more acute with the passing of history. And now we're discussing animal rights as we never have before. But as he points out here, already in the Quran and in the sayings attributed to our Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, there is much emphasis on animal rights, and that's interesting because we might think we are human beings and animals are just there to serve us, but from the Quranic perspective, animals have as much right to the earth as we have. God has created them, they're his creatures, and we do not dare harm the creatures. But God has given human beings the special permission to slaughter animals for food, and not all animals, but certain ones which are suitable for human consumption.
But the way we slaughter is also limited in terms of the amount of pain the animal feels, right?
True. So with all of this background now, obviously we cannot misuse animals. We cannot just wantonly test drugs on animals to see if they're safe for humans. However, when it comes to the matter of weighing this harm over that harm, if we fear that prescribing a certain drug to be used by human beings would possibly result in great harm to human beings. Now, there is a possibility of testing on animals, because though that's harmful to the animals, that is a lesser harm, at least from our perspective. Mm-hmm. But we must keep the two perspectives in mind. I mean the broader perspective that animals do have rights too. They're not dead objects that we can just do. It's not like banging a hammer on a piece of wood to see whether that wood is strong or not, or whether the hammer is good enough. But this is a being, a sentient being, having some awareness, and at least having sensitivity to pain. And so we cannot misuse animals. We must proceed with due diligence and in proportion.
Well, what about cosmetics? Because some cosmetics are experimented on animals. So does that mean that we should only use cosmetics that aren't tested on animals?
Well, obviously, cosmetics, the use of cosmetics does not fall under any kind of dire necessity. We might think of extreme medical conditions where somebody might be dying if they don't use a certain drug, and we need to test the drug first, lest the drug itself would cause more deaths. So that's a dire necessity, and then we can understand testing on animals prior to the use. But when it comes to cosmetics, since this is like superficial and voluntary, then I would rather not use something to make myself look good to save the animals from any harm from testing on the animals.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.